everybody, welcome back to the after party for Micheal Carey. We have Mama has joined us, Manda, and we have Critical Cripple Dave that has joined us as well. So everybody, thank you very much for coming back, and yeah, we're here. This is the first production of the non-community way, so thank you all for coming across. Everybody, please do hit the subscribe button. The more people that do that and help share the love around, the more people we can help in the community as a whole. So Mike, if you just want to let everyone know, seeing as you're the star of the show tonight, let us all know again who you are, please.
I'm Mike Carey, that shitty referee in the NFL. No, I'm kidding. I work with basically two other people on a project called The One Good Reason. We focus on epistemology, the study of knowledge, and how we get to our conclusions using an investigative process, a Socratic method, if you will. We talk to just layman's, random people in the streets about things that you maybe normally wouldn't have a conversation about, such as apology and forgiveness, consciousness, free will, determinism, the origin of choice, even the spooky feeling of, am I on strings or am I a robot? Who's choosing these things for me? We talk about religion, of course, that comes up. And we try to get people to just, analyze what the hell it is that they're saying and how they got to this position and why are they putting this out there. And if they get to a point where they don't have a good reason, we would just hope that they would pivot. You would hear the shoes squeaking sometimes as it's coming out of their mouth that, hey, maybe I really don't have a good reason. A lot of the time, what we'll do is just basically steel man their position. So if they make a statement, I'll repeat it back to them. And they'll either say, yes, that's what I'm saying, or no, that's not what I'm saying. And eventually with this process, it'll kind of come out, oh, that is kind of what I'm saying, isn't it? And
yeah.
Once they can see the flaw in their thinking, we would hope that they would let that go. So a fun example of this is, I'll say to somebody, what do you call this part of your mouth? Right? And most people would say the roof of your mouth. Mm-hmm. And I'll just basically respond with, wouldn't this be the roof and this be the ceiling of your mouth? Right. And so we'll have a laugh and they'll say, okay, sure. And I'll say, okay, so maybe we could say the top of your mouth, right? It's still one syllable. It's less letters to write. And it seems to make more sense. Mm-hmm. And they'll agree. And I'll say, okay, so now that we agree, are you going to start saying the top of your mouth instead of the roof of your mouth? And a lot of the time they'll say, no, I'm still going to say the roof of my mouth. And the reasoning behind that is, it would maybe take too long to explain what I mean. Someone might think that my upper lip or something like this, and mm-hmm. I'm just going to conform to what the group is doing. So that's basically what we want them to highlight and expose, is that even though you maybe figured it out that there's a better way to do something or a more sensible or reasonable way to go about something, whether it's whatever you're saying or whatever you're doing, there might be some pressure there to conform to the group. And you might need that motivation to diverge from the group and do your own thing. Like today is, you would say, let's say Sunday night, right? Like the word Sunday night. It might be better to say sun night, because you wouldn't say sun night day. Things like this.
To make a correlation just specifically between America and over here, we would say 9:30. You would say 9:30. We would just say 9:30.
There you go. Yeah, or even like, the phrase sunrise, when that's not even what's taking place. That doesn't remotely describe what's happening.
Yeah.
But, so that's a little fun, benign, not too deep example. But that's basically, in a nutshell, what we do. And we're constantly analyzing ourselves as well. It's not like I'm some super smart guy. I commit fallacies all the time. My friends call me out left and right. So we're just taking that discovery process and, bringing it out there to the street, to random people, not so much experts in the field like Mama Atheist, maybe, being, completely learned and educated in any particular study of knowledge, but just the average person that might think
you'd be a big fan
drinking
of Anthony Magnabosco. Is it Anthony
Magnabosco? Oh, yeah, the street epistemology guy. Yeah, but a lot of his approach I like. I think where we might have a little twist is we might not always be pushing someone to switch their views. We get the high when the person actually catches on and corrects themselves.
Ah, I see the difference
like,
now. He's
yeah,
AXP and you're Talk Heathen.
right. Yeah, it's kind of an hour in, it's like, oh shit, I'm a fucking idiot for doing this, and I'm not saying it, they're saying it, and it's just because they haven't had maybe a mirror to bounce off their ideas on, and it's a beautiful process.
Yeah, no, I personally, and I do go out now and have the conversations in the street as well, to be a complete sort of scream and shout, and as you pick it up, I don't have a problem talking. I drive a black car that's it's a semi-sports decent enough looking car, jet black, tinted out windows, and the license plate says 666. You know, you park that in car parks, you get people to come over and look at it. What the fuck's this? And it starts the conversation, you know, and it is a topic that I do enjoy talking about, mainly because, as I say, with your background, when you ask the philosophical questions and things like that, where do you come from, what are you doing, what do you believe in, it does boil down to what you believe, and a lot of that time is religion. So it does get the conversation starting, and talking to people in real life is a lot more fun than talking to people on the internet. And I've enjoyed this with you tonight, but when you're going up against someone who is spiritual or Christian or fundamentalist or fucking young earth creationist or something like that, you know, one of the best people I have talked to in real life is an old earth creationist. You know, doesn't believe in evolution, totally against abortion, had his own picket sign and all to go to fucking Belfast when they opened the abortion clinic over there quite recently. And I enjoyed talking to this guy, you know, but in the internet, fuck talking to them people. They can be, yeah. In real life, it's an awful lot easier. You can pick up on people's body movements. You can pick up on the way they talk. You know, it's a lot easier here in the internet.
It's a lot safer too.
MathPig, did I miss it, or did you not ask him why he's here?
Well, he's here because I invited him, but I take it that you're making a hint towards my first question, Dave.
Just a little bit.
The first question that I usually ask people, Mike, is what brought you onto the internet? What brought you? I know you're mainly on Facebook, so I'll twist the question to what brought you to YouTube, to what brought you to doing your thing, coming on Facebook and starting the group?
Well, that was one of my beach vibe days being ruined by a really close friend of mine. We were cracking some, I call them beach beers, you know, some of those Mike's Hard Lemonades and shit like that, drinking some booze, watching the waves. And out of the fucking non sequitur randomness came, hey, aren't you worried about getting shish kebabbed by tons of penises and being roasted and slashed and gnashing of teeth and your fingernails being removed? Aren't you worried about that shit? And it was like, what? Because he knows I'm an atheist and I know he's, you know, a Christian. Mm-hmm. And I was just kind of like, I don't want to dodge, you know, so I was like, listen, we'll call him John Smith for the sake of the video here. But yeah, it was like, John, listen, imagine that there's some John monster that lives in the ocean, okay? Because we're out here in Florida. And I'm just like, imagine there's some John monster that lives out in the ocean, okay? And it's invisible, it's intangible, it's weightless, scentless, inaudible. And it senses that you're a John, okay? And it only eats Johns. So everyone else, including myself, is fine. But you're in danger. And even if you legally change your name, it'll know that you were a John. And this isn't like you're pimping out, you know, or buying any hookers or anything. So I'm just basically saying there's no way to differentiate between this and something that doesn't exist altogether, right? So you're in a predicament now where you have maybe this trichotomy. You could not go to the beach anymore and completely drastically change your Florida lifestyle. You could go to the beach, just not go in the ocean, but run the risk of it stalking you maybe on the beach and waiting for that moment to kill you. Or you could continue to go in the water as you were doing before I told you about this until there's good reason for you to react and respond.
Yeah.
Just like you do with a shark or just like you do with jellyfish or anything else. So I said, you know, in light of that, I mean, you're talking about this hell and, you know, whatever the worst possible imaginable thing I can think of, choking and burning and screaming and crying and all these type of things. I mean, you know, why are you believing in this? Is there a way to dig and find it, or how can we detect what's going on in this hell? And that came down to, I don't know. You know, and so I said, well, if that's the best that you can come up with, you know, you're asking me why I'm not worried about it. I mean, that's why I'm not worried about it. Why are you worried about it? And, you know, he points to his book and he says, well, this book says this. And he, you know, I pay the compliment of assuming everyone here is privy to this isn't a justification to believe something just because something is written down. You, of course, would need a demonstration or something at least logically consistent that would be reasonable to believe. And that basically boiled down into, I don't know why I accept this. So after having all these conversations with this singular person, ending with, we don't have a good reason, I said, hey, maybe I should create a project called The One Good Reason. And we'll just go around talking to people about these type of things, and even expound on that and talk about other things outside of that religion bubble. But yeah, that's basically it. It was just, just the fact that he fucked up my fucking beach vibe. Here I am on the internet because I'm all about the beach. That's my church. That's my fucking zen.
See,
That's basically vengeance.
See, that's quite funny as you say about that, man, when we were talking about earlier with death and stuff like that there. I'm very prone to the idea of a Viking funeral. I would like to, the area of where I would like to buy a house is close enough to the beach where I could buy a section of the beach, put me on a pallet, cover me in diesel, set me out into the water to burn, and hire a marquee and just have everybody to have a party on the beach, right down to sunset.
We can only do that if Manda likes it.
Amanda's already said she's going first, so.
No, I'm not first.
After you.
But I like the idea of that, celebrate the birth, celebrate, someone's life. Whenever we went to that crematorium about my auntie, I could send you some pictures, man. That particular grave site or the graveyard that was beside it is massive for what we would refer to over here as Irish travellers, gypsies, whatever you want to call them. And some of their gravestones are worth 20 and 30,000. They're 10 foot tall. They're made of solid marble. It's insane the amount of money that they spent on them, man. It really, really is. And they actually go down, and there was one there that was, we worked out the age. The person had died when they were mid-20s, and they were celebrating their 40th birthday. They'd been there the night before on the grave and celebrated the person's birthday. Beer cans lying there, and they'd got a sash and all for the gravestone. They really get very, very into it, but it is still religious based. And the amount of money that they just squandered on it. Some of them are beautiful, don't get me wrong, but 12 foot high solid marble for a man that probably spent most of his life drinking and stealing from people.
Yeah, I was at a again, I won't say any names, but I mean, I was at a funeral, and everyone's pretty much, most people were pretty much taking it as well as possible. Okay, and some people, of course, were distraught and couldn't move and paralyzed. But this one guy, he's wearing a Rolex, and we're all in line going up to the box, and he's taking off his Rolex. And nobody's saying anything, and he's having a shit of a time trying to get this Rolex off. And I'm looking at his Rolex, and he's about to put it. I'm assuming he's about to put it in the casket. So I had to. I grabbed him by the shoulder. I said, "Hey, I could use this. You don't need to put it in the casket here. He's like, well, she had gotten it for me. I said, okay, well, if she got it for you, you wouldn't give it back to her while she was alive, right? So it was like, I don't know. People do things like
me. Yeah, that would have been a keepsake to me. That's something silly that always would have made me, remember about that, or keep you thinking about something like that. Yeah, no, I would definitely keep that. I'd keep these silly things up, but yeah.
Well, we always do, because I'm half Irish, half Dutch. The Irish tradition is to put 2 pennies in the coffin. It's supposed to be their way to buy their way into heaven or something like that. My grandmother taught it to me. And so I remember being at my grandmother's funeral and freaking out because I could not find 2 pennies. I only had 1, and it really upset me. Oh
This is just the one, yeah. And that's, I understand why you would do it, because it's like, what's family worth when you're losing a lot? I get it. But something like spending, like, what did you say, 30 grand or three grand on rock?
Yeah, there would easily have been £20,000 sterling spent on some of these things, man. I'll send you one of the pictures on Twitter. Yeah, but talk away.
Yeah, that's there's so much good that could come out of that, and and if that person were here in the chat, that they might take offense to that as, oh, you don't think that was good. But I mean, what I mean is,
no, it's not.
You know what I mean? It's you could really benefit maybe the family of that person, or if you are a part of that family, you can use this to I don't know, do something that might honor the person in a way that is overall
start a charity in their honor,
right, or something, right?
Like that.
Yeah, and I think it's just you're desperate for some kind of closure and desperate for some kind of comfort, you know. And a lot of these people that do these things, then they find themselves in financial ruin or in hardship later on, and then you can't renege on pull up the stone 2 years later, you know. So it's and that kind of brings me to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, the no church, we'll call it, until 18, or no church until 21.
Yeah.
Is I do look at it like the indoctrination being an issue at an early age, because that's where you're most susceptible to beliefs, right? And so maybe you can't stop it, maybe you can delay it, but if you were never to learn about any religions until you were 18, we don't have any examples in modern society of something like this. So I can't really say.
How do you not let them put the groundwork in? How do you? I can't work out a way that you would stop, when you would prevent them from.
Yeah, how would that's my point?
Instilling the key things. Now you don't need. You're right. You don't need to give them the stories, and you can get away from that. But it's like you can prime them.
Right, the kid can still go in mom's cabinet and get out the moonshine here, but it's at least not encouraged in the community in and of itself. Now, this might be an elephant in the room or some kind of best kept secret where everyone's doing this in their homes, and just their quality time that they would normally have spent together is now, the onus is on them if they would like to cut into that, to spend time doing this in the home. So I don't think a lot of people would be game for that. It's just, it's like if you were told in your country that you can go buy a beer while you're in first grade, what would that look like? You know what I mean? And I don't mean to equate religion to alcohol, but that's the first thing that comes to mind, because it's comforting, right?
But and then there are, in the sense, I don't think it's a fair comparison, because the people that are telling you can do it do not firmly believe that you should be doing this or you're going to die. It would be like someone telling you, you have to go and buy a beer or your life and your eternal soul will be ruined.
That's my kind of party. No, I'm kidding.
That's just a frat party in America, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point, Dave. And I don't think I have a good response to that, other than try it. Give it the opportunity to see how the experiment works out. It's not like it's not running away. You can now.
I think the US is playing out the religious experiment now with the separation of church and state, where they have said there is going to be this separation.
Well, they said, yeah.
And then all the people on this side are pushing and pushing and pushing every way that they can get their thing in there without it. And there's no one there to stop it. No one there to go up against them within the organization, if that makes sense.
We're getting up to it without crossing that line. And they keep pushing it further and further.
Yeah. And I think the same thing would happen. I think that's a good, the best example I can come up with of what I mean. Because the point is, I agree with you. I think it's a fantastic idea. I would love to say
tattoos, movies. It's, could they go home and their dad, put a tattoo on them, that says, I hate black people, or sure, they could, underage and do these type of things. But it's, if we're already doing it, we already have these examples of age limits on tattoos, like I said, alcohol,
do we also
tobacco.
not have studies that show if you make something taboo, you increase the want for it?
Yeah, we do. I can't argue against that. So what I could say, though,
think about it. If it's taboo by society but encouraged by your family and the people that's around you, You know,
I agree. What I could say though is in light of that, observation, would you be for removing the restrictions on, let's say, tobacco or alcohol or tattoos even, or things like this? That's the aspect.
People who know and who have watched the channel know that I smoke a wee bit of weed, and we would obviously go for that. The studies have shown, that it's better for you health-wise. I can't, don't get me wrong. I'm having a little bit of wine tonight, and I was quite happy tonight when the guy in the off license let me know that my favourite wine was back in. So I bought a bottle, and it's grand, but it's something I couldn't stand here and say, yes, we have to do this. Yes, we need to do this. I can fight for it, and it's great and it's fantastic. I couldn't stand here and do that where I could with weed.
That's the thing is that,
we haven't banned underage drinking. We have banned sales to kids. Parents are still perfectly permitted to let their children drink, and the same thing. I feel the same thing would happen.
I think over the age of 11, though, Dave, in the UK.
No, there's no age limit in the UK.
Is it not?
No.
Let's talk about that. There's no age limit in the UK. So does this mean that a 7-year-old could purchase alcohol?
No, there's a limit to purchase. Sorry.
To buy, you must be 18.
Oh. I was about to say, I was like, let's get into that. That's
no. It's a different. At the end of the day, you can't police what they're doing, but you can police who's selling.
I see.
If that makes sense.
That's kind of the issue here with.
You will find kids underage drinking.
Oh, apparently we do have an age limit. Caroline's just checked. 5.
5.
Not allowed to drink under 5.
It's not 5.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, and then so what happens is you have this 5-year-old with their teardrop tattoos and their mama's little slugger across their arm and the barbed wire, right? And they got their Johnny Walker, and they're telling you you're going to burn in hell, because they're out here with their megaphone preaching. It's how much influence should be allowed before they've developed their own personality, because it's like we're building the people up to have these habits or these viewpoints.
But do you not think
before they have a chance?
Lead to more extremism in the sense that the only people that would continue it would be it would move that the parents would have to do it at home. The church, it would be expected of the churchgoers that they would take this material home.
And I would rely on the laziness of those families to actually be engaged enough to separate their family time to completely. Every interaction now is the onus is on us to have church in the house.
So I go to the next statement. Back to the US as an example. You've got the Baptist community that is basically now mass homeschooling because they don't trust the public education system, because it takes them away from their religion. I think that you get more fundamental. I think you risk pushing towards more fundamentalism.
Dave, give Manda a wee minute there to explode, Dave.
Just saying.
Say again, Manda?
That's how you end up with flat earthers and anti-vaxxers, because they were all homeschooled by their religious nutjob parents, and it's allowed in this fucking country, and it pisses me off.
I would be very interested to see about studies from homeschooling in the UK. I've never actually looked that up.
That's a good point. It could have the opposite effect. I know somebody had mentioned that earlier. If we think we have a problem now, it could be like, holy fuck, now look what's going on. And then maybe you have child preachers, in mega churches with cradles in the pews or something. You
do have child preachers here, and some of the tent revivals. They're fucking 7 years old.
Oh.
It's gross. And these kids actually think that they're like healing people, and they're talking to God because this is what their parents have convinced them of.
Where you are now, Mike, without giving away your address or anything like that, Mama, she's in Georgia. Right, so that's all we need to say about that. I'm over here in Northern Ireland. We don't have any real stupid people to the point of religion, but I read today that they did a punishment beating last night where they broke some guy's door in and went in with iron bars and a baseball bat and beat the fuck out of them. That's terrorism. We have that over here. But, you know, what is it like where you live? Do you have any mad fundamentalists or, you know, could you walk out the street wearing a t-shirt that says, this is what an atheist looks like?
I live in Florida, man. Everybody's fucking stupid here.
It's actually worse for you than it is for me. I'm so sorry.
I was in Orlando.
Would you go the other way then?
I went to Orlando.
You know,
and hated it.
And I can say that, you know, I get online, I tell somebody I live in Florida, and it's like they just lose all respect. And I have to work so hard.
Have you ever
rebuild.
seen a YouTube channel? It's one of the bigger YouTube channels out there for gaming. It's called Gray's Still Plays. No? And he puts, like, at the minute there, the other day, he got, you know, got like a man and give him 100 wives in Sims, and you see what happens. And his commentary is very like Aussie man reviews. It's very funny. But one of the characters he always puts in every single one of his Sims videos, or even when he's naming someone and it needs to be the stupidest man he can think of, he calls him Florida Man. And if it's a
Florida
space game,
Man.
he calls him, it's Florida Mars. If it's a space
It's nonstop. It's nonstop. It's nonstop, man. Look. Okay, I go to the grocery store, okay, and I'm trying to get some fucking pickles. And there's this, I can't make this shit up, man. There's this lady, I guess she's looking for kosher pickles, okay? And none of the pickles there that are available are kosher. She, I assume, is praying over the pickles herself, you know, in the aisle.
You are saying pickles. Now I'm not mishearing this. You are talking about pickles. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
and you know, she had her mind set on prayed over pickles, okay, and there weren't any available, so she's praying for the pickles. It's like I'm surrounded by this stuff, you know. You're praying for pickles. Now I don't know what she plans on eating the pickles or, you know, doing something else with these things, but it's This is the level of intelligence that I'm surrounded by. Yeah, if I'm walking around with a T-shirt that says #atheist or whatever you want, you know, that's non-religious, what would Jesus do? And it just says die, you know, or something. Yeah, there's going to be a gang of people who don't even know me and just want to attack, you know, and. It could be something something very soft, like just #atheist, or it could be, you know, even that. I would definitely not do that, you know, because I'm a little smarter than that. I would definitely not do that going to the beach. I mean, that would, I was just giving my rant about fucking up my beach vibes. I mean, that would really be, you know, an issue.
The beach is important to you. That's why you live in Florida. Good beaches, isn't it?
That's why I'm still here, man. That's why I'm still here, is because of the fucking beach. It's just ridiculous. There's an idiot for every grain of sand on these fucking beaches, man. It's really not. I mean, there is some atheist movement out here. Don't get me wrong. I think the first. Now, I don't know how I feel about this, but I think the first atheist monument was built here in Florida. If you guys want to Google that really quick, but I think that was in it. Yeah. See, it's kind of. Okay, to be fair, it was kind of in retaliation to the Ten Commandments monuments that are down here.
Oh yeah,
okay,
like
so,
whenever the Satanists.
yes.
Yeah, when what do you call him?
Right.
What's
his name?
Satanist church. Come on, Dave.
So. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
so
it's
kind of doing the same thing that the Satanists do. You know, they put the Baphomet up with the dick and balls hanging out and these type of things, and it's like, yeah, everybody can put up their shit, Mr. T, whatever you want, Yoda, and they say, no, we'll just take it down, right? So that's usually the effect. So they created this atheist monument, and it's not really much to talk about. It's a rock, and it says it's like we don't believe in a god or whatever. It actually talks about the monument across the sidewalk. It says that monument over there that says this, we don't believe in this, and this, boom, boom, boom. And immediately after it was erected, there was this huge group of religious people that were out there making YouTube videos with megaphones and doing all this type of shit. And it became this real big stink. And they actually didn't take down the religious monument. So it had a backfire effect where now we actually have an atheist monument, and they loved that for their narrative, you know. But
I don't get the idea of that. Flags over here, as they call them over here, or flags as most people call them, are very important over here. I mentioned this in the stream the other day, and
atheist flag. That'd be funny.
No. But over here with the Protestants and the Catholics, at the top of Town Hall in Belfast, they took the Union Jack down, or the which is the symbol of the the UK, of England and all that. Well, not of England, but of the UK. Took it down, and everybody blew their heads exploded, man. Every Sunday, out protesting out the front. You took my flag down. You took my, symbols and things like that. It's strange that people can be so insecure without it.
There is a Facebook group called Florida Atheists, and it's not that large that I'm a part of, and that's nice. That's comforting. It's nice to know there are others, but I mean, to be honest, it's kind of few and far between. Like in this neighborhood that I live in, I highly doubt. I mean, there's much more than my family, my wife here, and maybe the one guy at the other end of the neighborhood, but. It's hopefully with the projects that we're doing, we're gonna cause at least some ripple or some effect. But yeah, Florida is really stagnant in its progression.
I have only ever been to America once. We went to Orlando. My father had a timeshare in the Sheridan Estates, which is just up the road from Disneyland. I fucking hated it, man. I fucking hated it. There was, as you say, that you couldn't...
Park Soleil or something?
You just couldn't have a conversation with anybody or talk to anybody. And we ended up in a hick bar. We actually ended up in a proper redneck hick bar at like 4 a.m. to the point where the guy there was a personal taxi driver for each area, and we told him where we were going. We'll give him a ring because we'd arranged him for 2. We said we'd ring you at 4. He asked us where we were going. He had no other calls that night and turned up and hung with us for an hour to make sure we were safe. This is what sort of a bad place this was. And fuck me, yeah. Some people in Florida be damn stupid. Like,
there's a town over here called Christmas, and there's hardly any streetlights. Okay, they use this connective. They connect these Christmas lights. This long. However they do it, but it just basically looks like Christmas 24/7 in this place, and it's not the kind of place that you want to run out of gas. If you're a black person, and it's not the kind of place you want to tell anyone that you're an atheist. Okay, there's people on the side of the road, and they're selling spicy peanuts and this type of shit. So it's.
I think I've seen a Christian movie where something like that happened, and it didn't. Yeah, they get very crazy like that.
Now this is a shortcut to get to the beach, so of course I drive through there. But it's always in the back of my head. It's like you're alone. You're all alone, but you already knew this.
Making a call.
But yeah.
Sorry, go on ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, yeah, if we could get a place like that to like have some kind of atheist convention, I mean, that would be, no pun intended, a godsend. That would be probably the highlight of my quote unquote career. If I could organize some kind of an atheist convention in a place like this, where it's just completely unthinkable that you would not accept a deity. And this is literally 15 minutes from where I live.
I think this is the point. I also think it would change just existing. Having a group of people that are normal meeting up there that are atheists, I think would actually go a long way towards changing people's minds.
With or without a security detail, right?
I don't think you would need a security detail as long as you had enough people meeting.
I think it's...
Well, we'd have... Yeah, well...
like... Over here, as I say, I had a whole big break. I didn't have the atheist group, the communities or anything like that. Hell, I didn't even know Hitchens was alive to the anniversary of his fucking death in 2018. Had no idea who he was or anything. And it's strange to me when I meet people who are so fundamentalist that they have that point of view that Dave's trying to put across. You are the evil atheist. Obviously nobody goes through life thinking they're an evil person unless they're, an evil person. But most people don't think they're a bad person. Regardless of what their views is, even some people who are racists will justify to themselves and think that they are a good person. But sorry, man, do you have your hand up?
Last year, that did not know atheism existed. I told her I was an atheist. She asked me what it was. We don't believe that there's evidence for a God. She had no idea that anybody in the world didn't believe in God. She was really nice about it. She was interested in about it. So I was really nice. But it was just insane to me. She had literally never heard of it, and she was like 25 years old. So
that's in Georgia.
Actually, I was going to go and just completely sidetrack everything. I was going to go back to the thingy point.
Well, hold on. Before you do that, then, right? I'm just going to say, I have met multiple Christians that have met people like myself and people like Dave and people like Amanda, and I don't know, like yourself, Mike. I'm sure you've had maybe this experience as well, where you've been in a room with one Christian and a group of other Christians, and you've acted more quote unquote Christian-like than what the other Christians are. You know, an actual Christian commenting on how you're more Christian-like than the other person. You ever experienced that?
Yeah.
Yeah. When they frame it that way, I asked them to describe what they mean.
Yeah, I did the same.
And
I'm down to humanism.
And as soon as they take the first breath, I'm holding up my humanist checklist.
Yeah.
Right. And we get through this. It's a short checklist, right? We get through the checklist, and I say, hey, that's humanism. So maybe you're just ignorant to humanism. Because everything that you're mentioning is just on this humanist checklist. So now you're educated. So the next time you come across a good human, you can just appreciate them as a human.
Yeah, whenever I did that last Sunday, did the exact same thing, went down and said this is basically humanism, and not to, you know, I'm not going to strawman Nez if she does watch back, she is a regular, I would consider her a friend. It came down to subjugation. She wanted that person to take charge. That's what it basically boiled down to was, you know, I called it being an asshole. I was all, yep, so you just want to be a slave. That's fine. You can be a slave, but people to me are equals.
You know, that question kind of makes me think of the whole, not to sidestep you here, Dave. I know you have this burning...
no, ignore Dave.
Sequitur. But that kind of makes me think of the whole, I'll pray for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, you know, when you hear I'll pray for you, people have asked me, what's your response to this? Because I always say, I'll think for you or something like this. You know, and so what I say is, oh, okay, yeah, prayer is like asking a director of a newly released movie to change the ending for you. You know,
an
outcome that you would prefer.
That happened to me once. I was listening to, I think it was fucking a non-sac or something, and non-sequitur video, and the headphones was loud. The person must have heard me or whatever. I was talking, and at the end of it, she came out. She was, you know, mid-20s. You know, she wasn't an old person. She was mid-20s or anything like that. And they asked, could they pray for me? And I was like, yeah, knock yourself out. Go for it. They fucking grabbed my hand and started praying there and then. In the middle of the garage, man. I'm a mechanic, right? In the middle of the fucking garage, they're holding my hand and praying, and I'm like, okay, thank you very much. Get in your car, fuck off. You know, it's you can go home
with the grease on their hands, yeah.
You know, you can go home and pray for me, but you know, praying with me here and now, and obviously they said lovely things. You know, there was nothing to the point of help Robbie find God or anything like that, but it was look after him, look after his family, and this, that, and the other. It was obviously humanism points that they were putting across, but just as you said, if you'd ever had someone, can you pray for you? They freaked me out when they did that. They literally just grabbed my hand and went straight into it. It was like, whoa, okay, doing this now.
Oh yeah, because you have to hold hands and maybe even touch foreheads when you.
Well, I have no problem with physical contact.
And you're going to beam up the good thoughts. All the foreheads have to touch, and maybe you even have to lock lips. You got to take it to the next level. You got to all have to make out, and you know.
Let's slide into some paganism here. You know,
you're talking about an orgy now.
Yeah, no, but it wasn't the physical contact.
Yeah,
it was the fact that she just went straight into it. Sorry, Amanda.
No, Dave just said the magic word, that's all.
Oh yeah, the magic word is orgy.
You start dancing with them, you know, you're just kind of we're praying, it's all prayer,
right.
But that can happen, you know, but that does boil down to the whole group mentality when people are screaming and shouting, the MAGA churches. You know, you look at the audiences of some of them MAGA churches and it's like an amateur porn video. You know, they're all just coming in the crowd. They're just such an atmosphere that is around them. It can drive you. It's hypnotic. It does happen.
And it wasn't until I never got, like, you go to a store or something as you're checking out, the cashier says God bless you or whatever. I never heard that until I fucking moved down south. Not in Connecticut,
Yeah.
not even in Arizona when I lived there. But here it's
Yeah.
like, God bless this, and I just like, you don't know what someone's belief system is. Don't say that shit to me. It pisses me off.
It's like when you sneeze, right? When someone says "bless you," right? And we all know that. I mean, I assume we all know that the whole history with that, as far as your spirit leaving and shit like that, right?
Mhm.
And okay, well, go ahead and do it in an elevator and see who says "bless you," right? Now it's disgusting. So it's like when someone says "bless you" and I identify you as one of those people, I'm gonna have a conversation with you now. I'm gonna say, hey, thanks for saying "bless you." I also want to be very vocal about when I fart, burp, hiccup, cough, and I expect blessings for those too.
See, that's the whole idea, man. I agree with you.
If you're not going to commit, to continue blessing me for these other bodily functions, then just take the burden off of yourself and allow me to say, excuse me. So how do you want to proceed? Because I'm gonna be around often. You're gonna see me when I fart. I'm gonna look to you for the blessing. So that's and then they just let it go, and then they don't say bless you anymore. I mean, that's how I one by one pull the Jenga blocks away from that habit. It's like,
very much appreciate your approach, man. I would be of the same sort of approach. If somebody gets defensive about something, I'll push them on it. Not to be I've said this to Matt a lot of times. I'm not a cunt. I'm just an asshole.
It's right next to the guy, right?
It's close enough, but we talked about this as well on Dave's show.
Just a few inches difference there.
I can't remember if the exact wordage of the question, but I think there's something along the lines of, is peer pressure wrong? Peer pressure to a point has a bad connotation with it, but if you're trying to get your friend over a fear or something like that, is it necessarily peer pressure, or is it encouragement? Is there a bad connotation with it? These are the questions that Dave asks on his show. You should definitely get up. It's good fun. But on that, is peer pressure a bad thing? I used the example of whenever I jumped off a 60-foot cliff into a fucking quarry. It was beautiful. It was an old copper quarry. The water was turquoise. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I was fucking petrified. And somebody encourages you, and you jump off. It helps you get over the fear. Obviously, that's a stupid thing, and Amanda will shout at me later for it. But that's a good thing, peer pressure. But saying you're in a group of friends that are all heroin addicts and they ask you to take a line or take an injection of heroin, that's maybe not such a good thing.
Right. I think it all comes down into the language itself. But I'm sorry, Dave.
That's right. I was just going to point out what the question was. It was, can peer pressure be a good thing? It wasn't.
So automatically giving it a bad connotation.
I think we
you're going to approach it with baggage. You're going to approach it with baggage and jump to a conclusion. Because peer pressure, the word pressure is, people will associate that with a negative thing. But I understand what you're saying.
I think we agreed that it was more peer pressure. It's a bad thing, but we have other words. We have other words for when we're putting positive pressure on. Yeah.
We said it was something. I can't remember what we said it was called, but too long ago.
I'm trying to think of the good word, the good phrase that we
aggressive encouragement.
It was encouragement. That's what it was. It was encouragement. Yeah, it was encouragement.
Yeah.
Yoke them up by the collar and aggressively encourage them to get straight A's or else.
Yeah, just the same thing as I said earlier with the daughter. Not dumping her in the pool, but encouraging her to get used to the water. Same with the river. Where I actually take her to on the river is down underneath the bridge, which is off like a steep track and totally not supposed to be down there. But when you get down there, there's like maybe a 30 or 40 foot, 15 foot deep stone beach right beside the river. And it's all secluded off. It's where the fishermen go to fish. And it's really peaceful. It's great. And at the start, she was petrified to go down. She always had to hold Daddy's hand because she might slide and fall. And it's like, come on, the fuck, let's go. Then I made her a walking stick, something similar to mine. So she tried to use, that to balance herself. And she's learning the same as I would. And now, at the very end of it, she always slaps the hand away. And she's like, no, big girl now. I can do it myself. And she goes, and she's only slipped once. And Manda will tell you, I sent her a picture about 2 weeks ago. I would let the dog off the lead, and the dog fucking vanished. I ran up the wee hill, and he was obviously just at the top of the hill talking to some old couple with Labradors. And I came back down again, and the daughter had decided to come off the stone beach and walk out into the middle of like a fucking, it's only like a 2-foot drop, but yeah, walk out into the middle of the waterfall. There's pictures of her in the mountains. Hi, Daddy. I said, get the fuck off the stones. Fucking no fear. Get off the fucking stone. Now, as much as that's probably bad parenting, my wee girls get no fear, you know, and I'd rather she was no fear and I look like a slightly bad parent, and she can go on and be strong and independent, and you know, that's, I don't want her to be wrapped
You want
up
to
in
talk? You want to talk no fear? Come down to Florida, go to the beach, and walk on a sandbar, and have everybody on the beach taking pictures, thinking you're fucking Jesus Christ. Okay, I have a picture. I can send it to you. I can put it in the Twitter here.
I sent you.
This has happened,
I
and I have to kick up some sand to calm them down. Sometimes I got to kick up some sand a little bit, and it's like one of these days I'm going to forget, and I'm going to come back on the beach, and it's going to be a whole new religion, right? I'm walking on water, but you know, it's just who you're dealing with, and you can look at any of these stories, right? Like I just said, I'm being funny, but yeah, I mean, you have sandbars, right? And when it's like, okay, well, what about Moses? He parted the waters. It's like, well, you could say part the waters. Maybe he was a good negotiator, you know, and he and you know, there's okay, well, you know, Adam and Eve. I look at that story like follow directions, and there's consequences, and you know, you could get the moral of the story from any of these. And that's fine. All but Jonah living in the big fish, right? That's just kind of completely asinine, but. Most of the stories, there's some kind of takeaway, you know. Even Cain and Abel is, you know, kill him quick, you know, before he takes your shit. I mean, but the people that we're dealing with down here take these stories to heart and actually do believe them literally. A lot of them, a lot of the hell believers, and you know, the rotisserie afterlife, and that you send yourself to hell. You get into your Dante's Inferno elevator and select, you know, level 17, where with, you know,
like the fact that you put Dante's Inferno and not the Bible, because that's what most people don't fucking realize. Like, you know, there's no devil in the Old Testament. It's the whole idea of hell is Dante's Inferno that we have.
Right, the worst possible imaginable outcome for yourself. And it's like, well, if I'm sending myself, can I choose not to send myself? And it's like, oh yeah, you can just choose God, and then you won't go there. And it's like, well, that doesn't really sound like a good choice here. It's kind of like you're putting a gun to my head and saying, you know, you can let me rape you, or I can shoot you, and it's your choice. It's like some choice you put me in. You put me in an impossible predicament where you're bullying me into acting. And if you're going to give me the free will to use it to just love you, or else.
You don't have free will if it's forced.
Correct. And that's basically the conclusion. So, but that again, that's the majority of the people that we deal with down here. As long as you don't, it's like a beehive. As long as you don't, you know, mess with their God and whatever, everything will be fine. But the moment you mention religion or mention, you know, even the children, I just saw a picture of some mom wearing a T-shirt that says, I can't believe I'm talking about this. This mom, she's wearing a T-shirt that says Jesus over COVID-19, and she's let me pull up the picture. Actually, she's wearing the T-shirt, and she has her kid wearing the T-shirt.
If you're going to Twitter, man, look in your DMs. I sent you the pictures of them gravestones.
Oh, those gravestones. Yeah, let me find that picture really quick. It's I'm gonna show it to you. Right. Okay, look. Tell me if you can see this.
Yeah.
Jesus is bigger than COVID-19.
And I'm one for the
No,
child.
he's not.
You know, and I look immediately at the child, and she doesn't know what the fuck's going on. She's trusting her mom to be giving her good advice and good information. Don't touch this fire. Don't touch that spider with the red dial on it. Don't cross the street and get hit by a car. Don't pet strange dogs. Don't go with strangers. And oh, by the way, this is what you have to believe or you're going to boil and roast.
Yeah, like everybody here has kids, you know, and yours is 4, mine's 3. Dave and Mama's are both older, but the impressionable nature of a child, the trust they give to their parents, you know, and it's shocking. It really is. You'll never, as an adult, you can't remember having that trust. Yeah, look at that, man. thousands of
That's a fucking castle, you know, and that's probably worth more than the person ever had that actually died, you know.
That's
sad. It's like, guys, don't give me an elbow macaroni for my headstone, okay? Give me the fucking money that you wanted to spend on all this shit. Give it to me now, and let me use it, okay? And when I die, we can even have a party if I think I'm going to be close to dying. Let's just have a party, celebrate me going away because I'm an annoying motherfucker, and then just place a macaroon or a fucking Triscuit on the ground. I mean, if that's going to make you feel better, but don't blow your funds and your finances on some rocks and some pictures and shit. That doesn't make any sense.
My granny, who we mentioned earlier, excuse me, sorry, who is quite religious, who up until when she turned 81 didn't know there was incest in the Bible because the whole story stopped when she turned into a pillar of salt. This is what they've been taught. That's
a pillar of salt.
The story stops there. It doesn't go on to the drunken daddy. But a couple of years ago, I was having a few financial difficulties, and my granny actually came up to me and she said something along the same lines as what you're putting across. Even though she is as religious as she is, she said to me, "Look, do you want your inheritance now? It's only £1,000, but I'll give it to you if you need it. Just don't fucking expect anything when I kick the bucket." I didn't take it, but it was nice of her to put that forward and offer it out to them. On telling me that, she's also done it twice before for two of my other cousins. One of them was for a marriage and the other one was for a cure. So, she's made that offer to my cousins before, but it was nice of her to do that. It means that she can be around to see the happiness, to see, to help out, to know that she's doing some good.
It's like, Granny, you could put this toward my timeshare. The wife and I are trying to go out there, get some security detail for us. It's rough down there in Florida. I'm trying to get a stretch Hummer this time, and I think that £1,000 would go a long
no
way.
mention about that. That's bad for the environment, man. We've a climate scientist here, remember?
I'm just kidding.
I wasn't gonna be fucking rude about it.
I'm tidying up the garden at the minute, and I am not even allowed to mention when I cut down the trees. It's like, you did what? It's like oh.
So you didn't take the £1,000 here. So should we assume it's going to go to Iraq and some kind of statue of you or something?
No, I'm assuming that the land she has is worth more, and I'm just being really nice to her and trying to steal it all. Fuck the rest of the cousins.
Good negotiator, playing the long game. Playing the long game. It's like, no, you keep this £1,000 here, and I'll raise you.
Oh, she is. She's a vindictive,
never take the first offer.
Annoying, awful old woman, and I've even made the joke with her during an internal critique that when the Grim Reaper comes to get her, she'll tell him to fuck off as well. She's reversed up a dual carriageway because she missed a turn off. She does what she wants. She said that on her 80th birthday. She's like, I've been 80 years being nice to people. I do not need to be nice to nobody no fucking more. And I thoroughly respect her, at least for that. Like, speak your mind, be who you are, and at least be confident in yourself. Even if you're a fucking asshole, own it. Be yourself, just it's a whole lot easier. I don't know. Well, we've been going, how long have we been going? We've been going for we've been going for an hour. Mike, I've had a good time tonight. I really appreciate you coming. Dave and Manda, thank you very much for joining. Mike, I'll add you to the Twitter group, and whenever we do after parties and stuff, definitely would love to have further conversations with you and get your point of view on different things, because we seem to get along. I appreciate your mind. I like your brain, as Richard would say.
I like my brain too, even though I might be determined to be biased about that.
Well, we all have our biases. We all believe in certain things, and as you say, man, it's about finding the epistemology, the reasonings behind why we believe the things we do, and trying to get rid of the bullshit, get rid of the fallacies, think proper, and think like a Vulcan. What would logic do?
What would logic do? Yeah.
So all of Mike's links are in the description. Dave's been chilling like crazy in the live chat. Mommy, you'll see everywhere. Dave's will be in his tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see more of Mike. So if we've got any questions from the chat, you've got 15 seconds of a delay. Dave's typing on his lovely noisy keyboard. Manda, have you anything that you've coming up tonight, possibly in a few hours, maybe?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She said no. Oh yes, yes and no.
Come on. Come on. Go on.
I'm interviewing Chris
Speaking of
Shelton on my
THC.
channel later tonight.
Yes. Go on. Just say that.
Yes.
Yes,
Chris Shelton
all right,
will
then.
be here
Yeah. Go
in
on.
3.5 hours. So
Yes.
was it?
So
Scene
exciting.
time.
You're wonderful at this shilling thing. Manda's going to have Chris Shelton. Chris Shelton used to be a Scientologist up until his mid-30s. So, or mid-20s, mid-30s, mid-20s, something like that. Totally into the whole Xenu. Lots of good interviews there. Yes, go and watch Manda. You'll have fun. Dave's put the link in the chat. So, Dave, you've got your usual show. I've got Nick Suter, and tomorrow we had a time change. So I've Nick Suter tomorrow at 5 Eastern Standard. And yeah, other than that, everybody, I really appreciate you coming, Mike. Lots of fun. And yeah, well, I'll oink and out, even though it's not my fucking channel, but I'm producing. So oink and out, and bye.
Bye. Thanks again.
Bye.